is S. Everett in? Okay, this is the matter of Love Neal. Looks like we're missing somebody. Mr. Hotchkiss, I'll let you know in a second, Shannon.
Okay. Rebecca.
All right, we're waiting for her to log in. There she is. She must have gotten her internet working. Maybe. Here we go. Okay, Shannon, put us on the record.
Alrighty.
This is a matter of Love Neal. Could I have each of you please identify yourselves for the record?
Matt Way, Prosecutor's Office.
Katie Comstock, DHHS.
Samantha Wright, DHHS.
Ken Hotchkiss representing Mother, Lynette Crabtree.
Rebecca McCluskey, guardian ad litem.
Okay, anything preliminary?
Your Honor, I would ask that the court take judicial notice of the file, and I just want to make sure that we're clear in the file number because there was dispute over that last time. It's 05-2738-NA.
That's correct, and all of the filings have been fixed at the clerk's office from the original misfiling.
Perfect. That's it for me.
The court will take judicial notice of this voluminous file. Call your first witness.
I would call Ms. Comstock.
Ms. Comstock, would you raise your right hand, please? You do swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
State your full name and then spell it, please.
Catherine Comstock, KATHRYNCOMSTOCK.
Go ahead, Mr. Way.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Comstock, you were an investigator with Child Protective Services, is that correct?
Yes.
And did you file the petition in this case on or about 9/21 of 2020?
Yes.
At the time you filed the petition, was everything true to the best of your knowledge?
Yes.
At the time the petition was filed, was Love Neal found here in Jackson County?
She was.
I'm sorry, she.
She was.
Is
Sorry.
her date of birth September 18th of 2020?
It is, yes.
Okay, and is Love's mother Lynette Crabtree, date of birth 12/9/1982?
Yes.
And is at the time Love was born, was Ms. Crabtree married to Charles Miller, date of birth 10/17/1973?
She was.
Through your investigation, did you look into Ms. Crabtree's prior CPS history?
I did, yes.
And what did you learn about her prior history?
Through looking through my investigation, I learned that she did sign off her parental rights to her first two children, and then her parental rights were terminated to her third.
Okay, and the third child was Keaton Crabtree back in 2013, is that correct?
Yes.
And that was not a voluntary release of parental rights, is that correct?
No, it was not.
What were the prior issues that weren't able to be resolved with the other children?
Just Lynette's lack of participation in the program, but also her severe substance abuse was never resolved.
Did you receive an investigation that was assigned to you back in September of 2020?
Yes.
And was that because Lynette had had another child?
Yes.
Through your investigation, were you able to determine that Lynette had disclosed she was actively using methamphetamine, heroin, and crack cocaine during her pregnancy?
Yes, she did admit to using all of them throughout the whole time.
And did Love test positive for any illegal substances?
She did. She tested positive for methamphetamines.
Thank you, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Did you also learn through your investigation that Ms. Crabtree left the hospital against medical advice without Love in her custody?
She did. I believe she left the same day that she had her.
And has Ms. Crabtree seen Love since then, as far as you know?
As far as I know, I'm not sure. I would have to defer to Sam just because she is her foster care worker. I think maybe she saw her once, but to the best of my knowledge, I don't think that she has been doing her parenting time.
And supervised parenting time was ordered by this court, is that correct?
Correct.
Did Love have some issues in terms of withdrawals while she was at the hospital?
She did. I know that she had tremors and that she was on a morphine drip as well.
Has Love been discharged from the hospital?
She has, yes.
Do you know where she is currently placed?
I know that currently to the last place that I knew she was placed at was the home where her brother Keaton is. I know that we had ordered it last time for her to be placed there as they were working on opening up their licensure again, but I know that they were interested in having her back there.
Okay, so then that was a direct placement by the court, correct?
Correct, yeah.
And did that placement adopt Love's brother then?
Yes.
In order to place a child there, did you do some background checks and some looking into whether they were appropriate?
Yeah, I believe that our licensing specialist did.
Okay. Were you made aware of any sort of issues with that placement?
Not that I am aware of.
Has Ms. Crabtree participated with you at all throughout your case?
She was very willing to meet me, but on the foster care side of it, I'm not 100% sure. I would have to defer to Sam, but she did. She accepted the petition. She knew I was coming and she knew what it was for. So she was very willing and open to talk to me.
Did you also attempt to locate Mr. Miller?
I did. I contacted him through his mother's phone number, and she did say that he was homeless, but was occasionally staying with her in Florida. When I did try to talk to him, he hung up the phone on me, and his mom did call me back and say that he was not participating and did not want to do anything at all.
As a result of that, at the time he filed the petition, was Love without proper custody as it relates to her father?
She was, yes.
Ms. Comstock, do you have an opinion as to what is in Love's best interest as it relates to her mother's parental rights?
I believe it is in best interest for Lynette's parental rights to be terminated, just based on the fact that she still continues to struggle with the substance abuse, even though she has had her rights terminated 3 times. She is also showing lack of participation, so I believe it is in Love's best interest to stay where she is placed with Keaton right now, in a family that can keep her safe and provide her permanency as well.
Thank you, Your Honor. I have nothing further.
Mr. Hotchkiss, any questions?
I have no question, Your Honor. Thank you.
Ms. McCluskey?
No questions, thank you.
Thank you. Next witness?
I would call Ms. Wright.
Raise your right hand, please. You do swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
State your full name and then spell it, please.
Samantha Wright, SAMANTHAWRIGHT.
Go ahead, Mr. Wade.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Wright, you are a foster care worker through the Department of Health and Human Services, is that correct?
Yes.
And are you assigned to Love Neal's case?
Yes.
Have you made attempts to engage with Ms. Crabtree regarding parenting time and services?
Yes. I met with her once with the CPS worker, and we did a family team meeting, and I spoke with her one other time on the phone, but she has not returned any of my phone calls or text messages since.
Has she participated in any parenting time with Love?
She came to one visit, and she confirmed a couple of visits but never showed up.
Do you know approximately how many parenting times have been offered since Love was released from the hospital?
She's been offered 8 parenting times since I've had the case. Sorry.
Sure. Has Ms. Crabtree provided you with any documentation regarding her being engaged in services?
No, she is not. She reported that she was going to a rehab facility, but never went or followed up.
Are you familiar with the services that have been offered to Ms. Crabtree previously?
I know that she was previously offered other substance abuse services as well and did not complete them in the past.
Is there anything that's happened with services since 2013 that would, I guess, provide her with a different opportunity now that wasn't available back in 2013?
I don't believe so.
I have nothing further, Your Honor.
Questions, Mr. Hotchkiss?
No questions, Your Honor. Thank you.
Ms. McCluskey?
No questions. Thank you.
Any further witnesses, Mr. Way?
No, Your Honor.
Any presentation, Mr. Hotchkiss or Ms. McCluskey?
No presentation on behalf of my client, Your Honor. Thank you.
No presentation, Your Honor. Thank you.
The attorneys wish to waive argument?
I will waive my argument unless the court has any questions. Thank you.
Your Honor, on behalf of my client, I can indicate to the court that I've not had any communication with her. She's not returned any phone calls. In fact, now I can't even get through on her phone numbers. So I don't know which way she would want this court to go. So I would not make any argument at this time. Thank you.
And Ms. McCluskey, you would waive any argument?
Correct, Your Honor. Thank you.
Do you support termination?
I do, Your Honor. Obviously, we have a missing parents, and with the long history here, I think that the agency's more than met its burden, and I would support termination. Thank you.
All right. Well, the first issue for the court is to adjudicate. Here, the testimony established that neither parent and the child has a legal father, who may not be the biological father, but he is the legal father, and therefore his rights must be addressed. As the legal father and the mother are legally responsible for the care and maintenance of the children, the child in this case, both have neglected or refused to provide proper and necessary support or care. The home environment with the mother, by reason of her substance abuse issues, is an unsuitable home in which the child could live. Testimony established that mom admitted to drug use throughout the pregnancy, which certainly was confirmed when the child was born positive for methamphetamines. Father has been contacted, the legal father, and has demonstrated zero interest in providing for this child's care or custody. So there's a proper basis for the court to adjudicate. With respect to termination of parental rights, the evidence established that both parents and this, by clear and convincing evidence, have, without regard to intent, failed to provide proper care or custody, and there's no reasonable expectation that they will be able to do so within a reasonable time, given the child's age. In the case of the mother, her parental rights to 3 other children have been terminated, 2 of them by voluntary release, but certainly under the impending threat of termination. And the one that was, whose the mother's rights to were terminated, Keaton, those rights were terminated due to serious and chronic neglect on the mother's part. Prior attempts to rehabilitate this mother have been unsuccessful, as evidenced by her continued drug use even through the birth of this child. And even though this petition requested termination from the outset, services were still made available, and the mother chose not to avail herself of those, nor did she choose to avail herself of the opportunity to even visit her child except on one single occasion. The statutory grounds have certainly been met for termination of both parents' parental rights with respect to the child's best interest. Love deserves, as does every child, the right to permanency. There is zero likelihood that permanency would ever be achieved under either of these under the supervision of either of these parents, given the legal father's total disinterest in parenting this child, understandably, since it probably isn't his anyway, but it's still his legal responsibility. In the mother's case, there's no reasonable hope that she would ever break free from her longstanding substance abuse issues. And this child is now placed with her biological brother in a home that's willing to adopt her, a home that is able to provide her with the permanency that she deserves. So the court does find that termination is in Love Neal's best interest.
Your Honor.
I will sign, yes.
Sorry to interrupt, but the petition actually was not requesting termination as to the father's parental rights.
Oh, you know what? I see that now. My apologies.
I'm sure we're going to go on that track, but I don't think there's we can't do it without a request.
You're correct. I think you probably, of course, who would have known what was going to happen when the petition was filed, but clearly, based upon his behavior, if you had been asking for termination, it would be justified. But you're correct. Without that request in the petition, we can only terminate as to the mother today. We'll adjudicate as to both. And
I didn't do an order because I didn't know which way we were going to roll on this one.
that's fine. I will enter the order terminating the mother's parental rights. Are we able to proceed with disposition today as to the legal father?
Yes. I mean, I'm sorry. I have a recommendation.
What is your recommendation?
That parenting time be suspended and we move forward with the concurrent goal for love of adoption. But
If the father were to make himself available for services, what services would you recommend?
he needs to make himself available for a social assessment, a psychological evaluation, and parenting classes.
All right, I believe those recommendations are appropriate. I will order those things. And I would expect at our first review hearing to see a request for termination if he does not engage.
Okay.
Clearly, grounds for termination based on abandonment would exist at that point. So our review hearing will be held.
Oh, wow, we're busy that day. We're not doing it that day. February 9th at 9:30.
February 9th at 9:30. Anything else today?
No, Your Honor.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you.
And Judge, I gotta do the orders on that, because I
Right.
didn't do a.
Okay, thank you. That concludes our hearing.